come together as we do on Monday nights to practice our leadership and communication skills, be with our members so that they may reach their communication goals. We ask this in your name. Amen. Someone have a flag? I saw it a second ago. All right. Thank you, Amy. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And at this time, I will turn control to our presiding officer, Prosciuttum. Are you ready, Prosciuttum?
Hello?
Oh, here we go.
Yep.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, thank God. Some technical issues. And let's see if my video works. Nope.
We see you.
Yep, we see you.
Okay. All right. Good evening, everybody. How are you guys?
Good.
Good.
All right. So welcome everybody to the meeting on this wonderful Monday. It's hot, but it's not humid hot. Good thing to have. And what a perfect theme we have for the evening, which is Olympics, because we are just wrapping up the Olympics. And as a love for the own home country, whenever Olympics come, it's again a disappointment. But we always pass by it, and we again prepare for it after the next 4 years and hope for a better result. So now let's welcome Chris to the virtual lectern to start the proceeding for the evening.
Thank you, Prosciuttum. Fellow Toastmasters and guests around the world. Is Patty a new member?
Patty is a guest.
A guest, okay.
Welcome back, Patty.
And who watched the Olympics? Who didn't watch the Olympics? Oh, Donovan. A few of us, maybe in passing. So I wanted to start with the history of the Olympics. Actually, I'm just joking because the origins of the Olympics are very obscure, and the earliest sources actually reference from 776 BC. So I'm actually not here to give a history lesson. We're going to fast forward a little bit. The first Olympic Games in the modern era were held in 1896 in Athens. And what I found most incredible is that they continued nonstop since then, except for on three occasions they were canceled. The first was 1916. Something called World War I happened. 1940 and 1944 due to World War II. And that thing that happened in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic. Other than those three instances, the Olympics were held. Is there an echo?
What I found most incredible is that they continued non-stop since then, except
David, is there anything we can
David?
do about the
on 3 occasions
Yeah.
they were canceled.
David needs to mute. There he goes.
Okay.
The first one was 1916.
David, can you mute?
1940 and 1944.
Someone's giving my presentation.
David's frozen.
right now.
In 2020, modern COVID and 1996. In the Olympics, found most incredible
think we're good.
Give it a go.
All right. In 1994, that's when the games actually split into the Summer and Winter Olympics. And I thought, actually, up until this year, I don't know how, but I thought the Summer Winter Olympics were held in the same year, but they're actually 2 years apart. So summer, winter, summer, winter. I always wondered what the 5 rings symbolized, and they actually symbolize the 5 united continents. Yes, there's 7 continents, but the Americas are represented as 1, and Antarctica, which is not inhabited by any humans, is omitted. So that's where the 5 rings comes from. And actually no colors associated with any continent in particular. And what's kind of cool is all 5 colors of the rings in some type of combination can make up any flag in the world with those 5 colors. And the 5 united rings of the Olympics, just like the 5 united rings of the Olympics, the 5 united rings of Toastmasters includes the 5 pillars of the program team. So I'd like to introduce the program team, and up first is the word master grammarian, Enkim. Enkim? I don't think he's here.
I'll do it. I'll be happy to do it.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you much, Mr. Toastmaster. As the word master grammarian, I will be listening to unique phrases that you will use in the English language as you are responding to table topics, since we have no prepared speeches tonight. And I will also have a keen ear towards listening towards the word of the day, which is sparkling. I can keep on talking about sparkling, and I can keep on talking about being the word master grammarian. However, Income has just shown up. And Income, without putting you on the spot, would you like to take on the role of word master grammarian? You were scheduled for that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I introduced the word of the day, which is sparkling, and I'll let you tell us a little more about the word of the day and what your roles are as the word master grammarian.
Good evening, Toastmasters. As the grammarian, I would be in charge of watching out for the M and the word sparkling used throughout our stay here. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Enkim. And up next, our second ring of our Toastmaster pillar is our A counter. And tonight that will be Jennifer Calaco.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. And hello, welcome, fellow Toastmasters and guests. As A counter tonight, I'm going to be listening for the ahs, ums, buts, and so repeated words, things like that. The and is also, and the so are not the grammatical versions, but the and, or the so, we're filling space. I will share my findings at the end of the meeting, and back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jen. And next we have our timer and vote counter. And that'll be, welcome back, Amy Gao.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Great to see fellow Toastmasters again, and welcome to our guest, Patty. Tonight, I will be serving 2 roles. I'll be serving as timer. Since we only have table topics tonight, I will be timing table topics. You will see the green card at 1 minute. You will see the yellow card at 1 minute 30. And when you see the red card at 2 minutes, it's time to wrap it up. You have 30 seconds after the red card to wrap it up in order to qualify for the vote. I put my number in the chat box, but my phone number again, please text me with your vote, 214-697-2673. And I will be serving as vote counter. I don't have my sparkling chalice to collect votes tonight, but I will make a tally and I will only vote if there is a tie. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
All right. Thank you, Amy. So a few quick facts about, we talked about the history, and now a few quick facts about this year's Olympics in Paris. This year's games actually marks 100 years exactly since France hosted the Olympics back in 1924. And the participants from this year's Olympics comes from 184 countries. So I work in a dental office, and we have 5 or 6 operatories, and each operatory has a TV. And the past couple weeks, we had the Olympics on, and everybody was all about the Olympics. And it almost seemed like every time I looked up at the TV, there was a new sport on. I mean, honestly, I would look down, then look up. Someone was swimming. I'd look down, I'd look up, and gymnastics, and there's a few new sports, actually one in particular for this year's Olympics. Out of the 32 sports, there were 32 sports this year with 329 medals to be awarded. And the new sport that I was really, really looking forward to this year was breakdancing. And breakdancing it's a pretty popular thing in Asian countries. I guess we're kind of short and stout and lower center of gravity, and we can spin on our heads a little bit easier. And I was really rooting for Korea to win. I think he got 3rd place, and he happened to be the oldest, or second. He happened to be the oldest break dancer in the competition, and he was 39, I think, which was pretty amazing, because this type of sport just eats your body alive. It just, you put your body in positions, and torn ligaments and sprained ankles and rolled ankles, and it's pretty amazing. But if you thought breakdancing was shocking enough, did you know the following are also events in the Olympics? So not the trampoline, but the Olympic trampoline. So if you look at this, don't try these moves in your friend's backyard trampoline or at the trampoline park. Sport climbing. So I recently got into bouldering, which is indoor rock climbing, and sport climbing was a new addition this year. And the last one is ribbon twirling, or rhythmic gymnastics. And I'm not sure where to start with this, but just YouTube it and see for yourself. But there's one photo that they posted on BBC from one of the participants. And this is on my phone. Is it going to show it? Pretty amazing. One leg is completely behind her. Her head is pretty much like snapped back, and she caught the ball somewhere on her neck. So pretty amazing. Can you guys see it? Yeah, you can't even see her head. And maybe we can see pulling teeth as an Olympic sport in the next 4 years. I'll try out for that one. So with no speakers tonight, we will run, swim, or break dance to our next event of the evening, table topics. One of the most exciting and spontaneous parts of our meeting is table topics. This segment is where we get to practice thinking on our feet, hone our impromptu speaking skills, and most importantly, have some fun. As the table topics master tonight, Prosciuttum will try to present you with intriguing, thought-provoking questions that will spark your creativity and challenge your quick thinking. Whether you're a seasoned Toastmaster or it's your first time speaking, remember that this is a supportive environment designed to help you grow and improve. So let's dive into the world of impromptu speaking and see where our imagination takes us. And that'll take you to you, Prosciuttum. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you very much. Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. When Chris told me that theme is Olympic, and I was like, oh God. Because I come from a country where there's only one sport, which is cricket. And rest of the sports are like stepchild. Nobody cares about them. And they always complain about how much limelight or importance cricket as a game or celebrities as cricketers as celebrity get. But yes, like other games are also important, and we have had some really good players in some other games. But the more I think about how countries perform on Olympics stage, or how there's an apparatus or a system in place to excel at game, the more I think, or more I realize is the countries which doesn't have a rich sporting culture. Like, let's be honest, US have a rich sporting culture. Like, yeah, in day-to-day life, we hear about basketball, we hear about football. I do not know why we call it football, but football, and then a baseball. We hear about these three sports. But if we look at the sporting history of the country, then yeah, US have excelled in almost every sport. If you look at track and field section of Olympics, yeah, US has been consistently winning. If you see tennis, US has been consistently producing world-class tennis players. And swimming, who can forget about Phelps? Like in last Olympic, he was like just a Superman over there. Yes, but for the countries like India, where the sporting culture just ends at cricket, it starts at cricket and at cricket. What I came to realize, like if somebody goes and win a medal at the highest stage in the world, then probably it's not because of the system. It's because of the raw talent which they have. And you get talent once in every generation, so they just go and win. For example, in javelin, there was the guy who won the gold medal is from Pakistan. And that country has only won that one medal, and he won the gold medal. There is no system to support him, no aid from the government, nothing. Is the pure raw talent, which that guy had. And this time he won. Last time he was silver medalist. So Olympic, in my view, is a stage where we all can come together. Fight is not a word, but compete with each other without having animosity or ill feeling toward each other. But like we say in my country, we are gentlemen only if we win. So, so yeah, as long as we are winning, we are gentlemen. So yeah. So let's move to the question and answer. So it's pretty simple, like Olympic. So question will be related to Olympic. And let's see who all is eligible. Dan, I believe you are eligible.
Yeah, bring it on.
All right. So there is one new sport that is introduced to Olympics. And whether we like it or not, no matter how much I hate it, you won the first gold medal in that sport. in the Olympic history. Tell me what that sport you will want to have it as.
Thank you much, thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. There are a lot of sports that I watched this year on the Olympics, and a lot of times you think, you know, I could do that. Like if you're watching badminton, you're thinking, man, certainly I could train enough to be a good badminton player, or I could certainly be a good ping pong player. And maybe with a little bit of work, I could be like a weightlifter. But there's one Olympic sport I couldn't do at all, and that was, as Chris alluded to, what the sport of breaking or breakdancing. What these guys were doing was just amazing, and it was won by a Frenchman. I think he beat out I'm sorry. It was won by a guy from Canada and beat out a guy from France for the gold medal. And at first, I didn't think these guys were athletes, but sure enough, I'm going to go ahead and say that they are athletes. But if I had to win that gold medal, if there was some sort of cross-country thing for hiking and going over some mountainous terrain, not exactly having to do it within a certain period of time, but having to hit some benchmarks or some goals, I think I could win at least a bronze medal in that. And that's what I hope for. And of course, at my stage of life, I don't think I could compete with a lot of these young kids. So it'd have to be, the Senior Olympics maybe. But I think I could certainly bring home at least a medal for the USA. Mr. Table Topics Master, back to you.
Thank you, Dan, for such a wonderful response. You were talking about badminton, and then suddenly I realized one fact. So, in badminton, when you forcibly hit the shuttlecock, that thing is called a smash. On average, the speed of the shuttlecock at that time is like 210 miles per hour. So it really requires very quick reflexes to return that smash. And one sport which really impressed me in this Olympic, and I will be honest, I didn't saw it, but in passing, I heard about it. And I even don't recall the name correctly, but that sport was a combination of three things. The participant in that has to run like a marathon, has to cycle, and has to swim. It was a combination of all these three, and whoever comes first wins. And I was thinking, come on, like we have cyclists, we have swimmers, but this is a combination of all three. A person has to be good in multiple sports. They need to have a stamina in multiple sports or a technique of multiple sports to compete and win. And I was like, God, like anybody who is winning this or even participating in it at the highest level is a Superman or a Superwoman or a Supergirl, whatever you want to call them. But yes, a big salute to them. Now, moving on to the next participant, Donovan Miller. No matter how much I hate you, I have to ask you a question. You ready, Donovan?
I'm ready.
Okay. So for any athlete to win a medal, whether it's a bronze, gold, or silver at Olympic, it requires decades of work, hard work, patience, competency in that particular sport. So in your view, what are some of the defining qualities in an athlete so that they can shine at the highest level?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Obviously, I think you would have to have a lot of patience Like you said, it does take a lot of time and a lot of effort to become good at a particular sport. I think you need to have persistence, because there's a lot of things that you're going to encounter that are going to push you back, and you'll need to keep being persistent at pushing yourself forward in order to be able to achieve at those levels. And probably they need to be very adaptable. I'm thinking of how some of these people train, and depending on what the event is, where you train, and you have to think about where you're actually going to be competing. There was the whole story about the Jamaican bobsled team. Obviously, that's a totally different, where they're able to train is totally different from where they will be competing and what the actual conditions are in the event. So I would say you need to be patient, you need to be persistent, and you need to be adaptable in order to be a world-class athlete and be able to win one of those medals. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Donovan, for such a wonderful response. As we have proven beyond doubt that everybody watched Olympics. Have you guys noticed any special, do you know anybody who went viral during these Olympics? Who went really viral? Okay. In any sport, generally we know who won the gold medal, and we always remember the person who won the gold medal. Because in these sports, you only win 2 medals. Either you win gold or you win bronze. You never win silver, because you always lose gold to win the silver. But they were the one, you can call him athlete, from Turkey. He won the silver medal, but everybody knows him in shooting. He won the silver medal, but everybody knows him, not the guy who won the gold medal. And his name was a little difficult to pronounce, so let me try it. Yusuf Dikek. You guys should look at his viral videos. The why he's viral is, if you look at shooters like who are shooting, and he was like a pistol shooter, 10 meter air pistol shooter. So if you look at those guys, they have all the gadgets, they have special glasses on their eyes and everything, and they are fully equipped to shoot the target. And this guy, he was a middle-aged 51-year-old guy, wearing glasses like me, no gear, nothing, just standing there quietly. He was a picture of a pure focus, like he was a human form of focus, and just shooting like he was always getting 9.5, 10, 9.8. He was consistently shooting without any gear. And that guy went viral like anything. One hand in the pocket, from other hand simply shooting the targets with no gear. And that guy went viral like anything. And even my daughter came and she was like, "Have you seen that Turkish guy?" And I was like, "Which Turkish guy?" And she was like, "He's in a shooting competition and he's very cool. He's like cool, that type of person." And I was like, "Yeah, I know what you're talking about." But that guy went viral like anything in this Olympic. If anybody can get a movie offer after this Olympic, it will be that guy, because he's so popular. So yes, so who is the next person? Heidi, are you available for a question or ready for a question?
Yes, I'm available, Prashita.
All right. So in Olympics, we have both individual events and a sport and team events. So what do you believe is more difficult to win, like whether it's an individual event like a 100-meter sprint, or a team event like a basketball or a hockey? So in your opinion, which will be more difficult or more tiresome to win actually?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. When I think about the difference between individual events and team events and what would be easier or more difficult to win a gold medal, because everybody likes to have something sparkling around their neck at the end of the Olympics. I think it really comes down to your individual personality. I think some people are more self-driven and self-motivated and do better in an individual sport where they only have to count on themselves. And then some people do better in a team sport where they've got other people around them and energy and people to pump them up if they're not doing well. So I don't know that there's necessarily one or the other that I think is easier to win. If you've got a team sport, and I'm thinking about the relay races, so the 4x100, we'll just use that as an example. If one person doesn't do their leg well, then the other three people have to make up the slack for that other person in order to get to the finish line first. If you're somebody like Katie Ledecky, who can swim 1,500 meters in whatever amount of time it was, I can't remember what, she does the great distance swims, but that's a very individual sport. So she doesn't have to rely on anybody else. So I don't know that there's one or the other. I think it really just depends on the individual and how they like to compete. Back to you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Heidi. Mr. Toastmaster, do I have time for one more question or shall I just wrap up?
I think we do. We can do one more for shoot 'em.
Okay. The next Olympic will be in 2028. And guess what? Olympic is coming to US, LA. And the biggest news is cricket will be part of the Olympic this time. Oh my God, we got a chance to win a gold medal. Probably not. Because how many of you have heard of Commonwealth? Everybody knows what Commonwealth is. Group of countries once ruled by Britishers. So all the British colonies, those got liberated, they become a part of the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth also hosts games like Olympic, there are Commonwealth games. And since Commonwealth is a group of countries once ruled by Britishers, they tried introducing cricket into it. And unfortunately, none of the cricket playing nations, none of them sent their original national team. They just sent the teams which were playing in a B circuit or in a C circuit. So Commonwealth organizers, they went crazy. And so since then, we don't have men cricket in Commonwealth. It's only women cricket in Commonwealth because for women, they are sending their national teams, but men team doesn't go. So a couple of days back, I was talking to one of my colleagues and she was like, next time you will have cricket. And I was like, okay, but it's a possibility that all the stars or all the major players from the countries, they will not come. Because first of all, you don't get that infrastructure over here in the US because US doesn't have cricketing infrastructure. So you don't get that infrastructure. And none of those stars or players will be risking injury to play in Olympics. No, because they earn a hell lot of money playing leagues all over the world. So they will probably not risk anything like that. And she was like, oh, I was excited. And I was like, yeah, even I was excited, but no. It's a big possibility that all the big players will not come. So yeah, so we have all the sports, but cricket, again, may not be a really good option in Olympics. So now, my last question, and who want to answer it? Patty, are you up for the response?
Sure, you said Patty?
Yes, ma'am.
I'll give it a go.
Sure. Okay. So as Chris mentioned earlier, there were around 184 countries that participated in Olympic this year. And it's a big thing because you are bringing 184 countries at the same platform. They are all together and unified in a message. So in your view, what's the best thing we as a society can learn from Olympics?
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. I think learning from the different cultures and being exposed for those of us in the United States, where we are a melting pot of people, it is important, to learn from one another, but to see them actually coming from another nation and seeing and interacting with them and learning from them is a true benefit for these athletes. When I was in college, I volunteered a lot in the International Special Games, Special Olympics, were at LSU, and they had kids from all over the world, and it was really remarkable. And granted, these were special athletes with some sort of disability, but just to see them together was quite a gift for me and something that still stays with me. And also just to see the celebrities that came to honor these athletes and to see them sparkle and shine. And I remember a young kid that had no legs, and he was running the 100-meter or 100-yard dash with his arms and swinging his torso and watching the celebrities. There was a guy that played basketball. His name was Rick Mahorn. This was a long time ago, but I still remember how it touched me and really what the kids benefited. But that was a different thing, but still these athletes, they're young, and granted, these Olympians are superstars and they're probably competing at international games and maybe have seen them, but just learning from each other and learning to accept others is a real benefit. Thank you.
Thank you, Patty, for a wonderful response. Madam Timer, may I have the timer's report, please?
All of our speakers qualified.
Thank you. So please vote for our sparkling speakers for the evening, Dan, Donovan, Heidi, and Patty. With this, over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Table Topics Master. And thank you for everyone that participated tonight. So when we talk about, I mentioned 329 medals that are awarded. The most medals are awarded in aquatics. And within aquatics alone, there's 49 events, from swimming to marathon swimming, diving, water polo, and as I mentioned, artistic swimming. And when I read that, it reminded me of a very special patient that I have. Her name's Kathy. And when you see Kathy on the schedule and she gets into the waiting room, the whole office knows. I mean, you can hear her from every corner of the office. She's laughing, she's joking with everyone. And if you've never met her, you would think that as she rounds the corner, you'd see this really fit, highly energetic person just walking down the hallway. But when Kathy rounds the corner, she's wheelchair bound. She was diagnosed with polio from a very young age. She has a laundry list of medications. She's on blood thinners. She has scratches and bruises all over her body. But she still has this vibrant, youthful energy to her. She's one of those patients I call a 90-10 patient, meaning she talks 90% of the time and you talk 10% of the time. So like as I go into the room, I have to mentally prepare myself to probably be in that room for a good 15, 20 minutes. So we're doing her appointment. We're checking her implants. She's getting a cleaning. Obviously, the Olympics are on. And we watched one of the races just end. It was a quick race. And I look at the place, like first through 10th place, and I say, you know, if all these swimmers raced again, like in this moment, I mean, it could be a completely different standing. That's just how close everyone is. And at this point, I'm just kind of talking like I know what I'm saying. Then she goes off and she talks about training. She talks about the stroke. She talks about the diet that's required and all the different lengths of swimming. And come to find out that Kathy used to be a semi-professional artistic swimmer. And she actually competed at the state level and she won at that level. So she was pretty, you know, pretty accomplished. And, you know, after learning about that, it just, you know, I feel like I have a lot of compassion for my patients, but it just made me look at all of my patients a little bit differently. We all age, our bodies get older, we have illnesses and things like that. But I mean, if she were standing right next to me at the same age in her 30s, I mean, she may be more fit than I am. And I'm currently training for my first half marathon. So one thing that this, you know, reading that and thinking about Kathy, it really made me not take my health for granted. It made me look at all of my patients a little bit differently. And I don't know, it just made me think of Kathy. So I just wanted to share that story. And just how every performance during the Olympics must be evaluated, so do our meetings. And here to carry out this duty tonight is our GE, our General Evaluator. Our General Evaluator this evening is Donovan Miller. He has been a long-time member of the Hillcrest Toastmasters, but recognizes that there's always room for improvement. The Olympics showcases the pinnacle of human achievement. In Toastmasters, we strive not for perfection, but for continuous improvement. Please help me welcome to the virtual lectern, your Vice President of Education, Donovan Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Great to see so many sparkling faces this evening, some people we haven't seen in a while. And we're celebrating some things this evening as well. Daniel Foyt, happy birthday. Helen Mayo, happy retirement. And we have some athletes, as we just heard from Chris. He is training for his first half marathon. That little thing that Prosciutto was talking about and couldn't quite put a finger on it, that's called triathlon. We have someone who's training for one of those, Jen Colosso. It's a very interesting theme. I know we had Olympics last week, but it's interesting seeing the differences. Last week was a little more topical. This week is a little more on the historical side. I love hearing facts. I love hearing traditions. So thank you for sharing that and also for bringing in that story about Kathy. That was a good break, kind of moved it up a little bit, took us out of the Olympic theme and just back to kind of humanity. So thank you for that. Been an enjoyable meeting. I would like at this point to call on our program team, and I'll start with you, Income. Tell us how we did on using the word of the day and how our grammar was.
Thank you. I'll start from Daniel. He didn't use the word of the day today, but his verb was on point and his grammar was perfect. And Donovan, You used the word once, and your grammar also was on point. And Hilde used the word of the day, sparkling. Grammar and verb were also on point. And Tati used the word once, and her grammar and verb were also on point. So over to you.
Thank you, Income. We will hear from our awe counter, Jen Colosso.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. This evening, we had Chris, you spoke for the longest, and with that comes the danger of the ums and whatnot. Today, you had a couple of us, one a couple of you knows, and there was a few repeated words, but in general, great job. You spoke a good amount of time. Appreciate them. You're crutching on the word like a little bit today, but there were no ums, us, or anything like that. Well done. Patty, there's two us and an And then I had an and a so that were not grammatical right from the get-go. Otherwise, I didn't hear any other things. So good job overall, Hillcrest Toastmasters. And back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Jen. Great report. Said a few things in general about the meeting. A couple of other things I did want to point out. Thank you, David, for being diligent on getting this started. It was even before 6:30 he had this room open. I would like to urge us to use some of that time to maybe arrive a little bit earlier. I know we were kind of down to the last minute, and we had pointed out before we started that a couple of people weren't here, and then I think it slipped our mind that Income had not been in the room. So really, we probably should have had a replacement in mind for that role. But thank you, Daniel, for filling in until he could get into the room. I also want to point out, let's make sure that I think Pershutum, Chris, I believe, had an introduction, so let's make sure we're reading our introductions when people provide them. And if you're in a role, make sure that you're providing those introductions. Just adds a little more polish to the meeting. But I think the theme was great. I enjoyed the table topics section. Everyone had some great responses. It is interesting to hear a little bit about the history of things. Like I said last week, we did a little more topical. Patty, great to see you come back. Thank you again for participating again. She actually, for those of you who weren't here, she won last week. I think she had a very good performance this evening, so we'll see if she is a repeat performer. Those are my findings for the meeting, and I will return control to our Toastmaster, Chris Yang.
Thank you, Donovan. Just a few closing thoughts. One thing I just remembered is, the Olympics. One thing the Olympics does for me is it gets me motivated to be active, to get in the gym, run those miles in the morning that I really hate running. And I watch a lot of hype videos on YouTube, and if you guys want to see one that's pretty amazing, his name's William Googe, and he's an ultra runner. So ultra runners, they run races that are like 100, 200 miles, and people train to run a marathon. They train like months to run a marathon. He actually ran 48 marathons in 30 days. So obviously, a vast majority of those days, he ran 2 marathons in one day. So it's pretty amazing. But you guys have to watch it if you want to see how he does it. So the last few closing thoughts, what were the most memorable moments of the Olympics for me? I'm a huge tennis fan. I grew up playing tennis. I watch a ton of tennis. Novak Djokovic won his first gold medal. And what's pretty amazing is if you watch tennis, the Grand Slams are the 4 biggest tournaments in the whole world. A lot of tennis players can't even make it to the tournaments, but he's actually won 24 of them, spanning about 16 years. And after all of that, after all of his achievement, he finally won his first gold medal at 37 years. And what's most amazing is just a few months before, he withdrew from the French Open in the semifinal due to a knee injury. Then 1 month later is Wimbledon, and he had knee surgery 2 weeks before Wimbledon. He didn't even know if he was going to play in Wimbledon and ended up getting to the finals of Wimbledon. And then 1 month after that is the Olympics, and he ended up getting gold. So somehow he dug deep. The other one was Noah Lyles. He won the men's 100 meter. And the last American to win was Justin Gatlin in 2004. As Heidi mentioned, Katie Ledecky, amazing swimmer, ties the record for the winningest American woman in Olympic history with 8 gold medals. And as Prosciutto mentioned, we kind of all are stunned by the same people, but Yusuf Dikek, the shooter, wins silver, and he literally had no visor to block out the glare. He had no eye blinder, no specialized glasses. He had a hand in his other pocket. He had his hand in his other pocket and just earplugs, and he got silver. So just amazing, amazing things that we as humans are capable of. And with that, that's all I had, and I will return control back.
Ask our vote counter to come up. We have some winners.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Amy,
if you can
Toastmasters.
announce the winners.
Yeah, I will. But I want to elaborate just a little bit on the LA 28 coming up. And it's interesting how, because we are the United States, we are including a lot of these sports that we are good in, but we also included cricket. So there is hope. Remember, the WNBA and NBA used to send their professional people over to the Olympics until they got really tired of not getting gold. And then we've sent all our professionals over there for the basketball. So maybe one of these days, the cricket, the top players will come and play. They just need to shut down their league for 2 or 3 weeks, like the WNBA and NBA does, so that they can all go play and then come back. And there is hope for cricket. Also, they're having lacrosse and flag football, and of course, baseball, which is the good old American sport. So I thought that was very interesting that we are going to be including those sports in the next go round. Tonight, we had great participants, and we had lots of great answers to Prasadam's questions. And the winner is, drum roll please, Heidi. Heidi wins our Table Topics Sparkling Award that's not here right now. Imagine for tonight. Well done, Heidi. Back to you. I guess who am I returning control to?
Prosciutto.
Who's our presiding?
Prosciutto.
Prasadam. Okay. Prasadam's our presiding officer also. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy, and congratulations, Heidi, for winning the gold medal. Unfortunately, we do not have a silver and bronze. It's okay. So, Chris, wonderful thing, very well not documented, researched. You did provided some great insight, and I believe as Donovan said, the personal story of Kathy, like that was inspiring to say the least. And with this, help me over here, please. Do we have any club business or anything that we need to talk about? Yes, yes, Daniel. Yes, Amy.
Well, let's go to Amy first.
Okay.
Amy's got more important than
Kind
mine.
of important. Just giving you a heads up. I will be sending out a dues letter shortly because they have already opened up the dues online where you can pay online. I am going to research as far as if we can truly pay for a full year without having to do the first 6 months and then the next 6 months. As usual, I think, unless somebody wants to provide a alternative option, we usually offer a discount for paying for the full year versus paying 6 months and 6 months. So 6 months is $81. If you do a full year, it'll be $145 instead of 81 plus 81. What the discount part is from the club dues, and we are still collecting some club dues in hopes that we will have an open house or something fun in the future when we get back in person, so that we can also pay for any contests and refreshments and fun stuff like that. So we will consult with the officers as far as maybe we can do something open houses and social in the upcoming year. We have plenty of funds. I will put a budget together by our next, I guess, 6 months, which starts on October 1st. But we like to get all the dues in September so that we won't be late. Any questions?
So Amy, the 6 months is 81, but the full year is how much?
145.
145. I'm sorry, I couldn't quite hear you.
Yes.
I need it for the minute. Thank you.
Yeah, but I will check online to see if you can pay online. I enabled self-pay, and I think they have made it a little bit better now where they actually notify the treasurer and president, I think, of who self-paid before they didn't do that. So it's going to be some sort of
I think last
messaging.
time we sent you a check.
Right. You can still do that. You can still do that if you don't want to mess with it. Because what will happen is if you pay self-pay online through Toastmaster International, you still have to pay me for the club part of the dues. So there's the $21. So 60 plus 21, which is the total amount. So the $21 that we collect for club dues, you would still have to pay me later, which is fine. We take Venmo, we take
Amy,
Zelle. Yeah.
Okay. Are you going to send out a letter this year?
Yeah, I will. I just have to get it together. So I'm just letting you know that it's coming. So if you need to save your pennies or, save your couple of bucks a week or whatever, just plan for it.
Thank you.
And I will be out for 1 week in September. So that's why I'm kind of giving everybody a heads up too.
Okay, I've got just one thing on behalf of our area director, John Mortram. I want to thank all of our officers for getting trained. We have all but 2 positions trained so far and pursued them. Hopefully you're our last one. You'll have one more opportunity for training. It's Wednesday, August the 21st, and it's at 11 a.m. It's during the afternoon. Hopefully you can do that. There are probably some other options in other districts, and it may be that they're going to do another training, but I'm pretty sure they're saying this is our last chance. This is the last one. So pursue them at some point. If you could get trained, I'd love to have all of our officers trained for this year. That's all I got. Donovan might want to talk about who's on tap for next week.
Yes, next week our Toastmaster is Daniel Foyt. Table topics, Heidi. General Evaluator, Chris Yang. Wordmaster, Marion Pershutum. Odd Counter, David Richmond. Vote Counter and Timer, Helen. Our presiding officer will be Amy. And Amy did point out, when I send out the schedule this week, I will include the link for the Google Sheets. I know some of you that are newer may not even have anything that has that link, but we use that to report when we're going to be out so that you're not scheduled. I have gone ahead and I believe scheduled, yeah, I've got Toastmasters scheduled all the way through the end of the year. So I might just include that in the body of the email too, so everyone can look at that. Generally, how we've done it in the past is if you see a day that you're not going to be able to be there, try and switch with someone in the adjacent week, or if not, I can help you get that rescheduled. Oh, and we did want to hear, Patty, was it any different being totally virtual this evening versus being in person?
It's a little different, but I did enjoy it, and so I do plan on joining. So I guess I need to talk with Amy on what I need to do on that.
Or Daniel.
I'm not in
Daniel.
town. It's actually me.
Okay.
Patty, I'm not going to be back in town until September. Don, I guess if you could, have you shared your email with anybody?
Donovan, I mean, I got the email for today's meeting, so
Okay.
I did.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Mhm.
okay. Let me email you the membership form to complete. Or is she on the mass? Donovan, is she included on the?
Yeah, and the last
email?
one,
Okay.
she's in the CC. You'll see her
Okay,
name.
perfect. Okay, so Patty, I'll follow up with you and send you a membership application. And there's some other information. Normally, I'd give you all this in a folder if we were meeting in person, but you know, I'll get that out to you. I don't think I'll get to it tonight, but I'll get to it this week.
Okay.
And you'll fill out that form. I'm probably just going to give you Amy's address where you can just give it to her directly or mail it to her directly, and then she'll get you enrolled. So,
Okay.
am I right about that, Amy? I'm pretty sure I'm good there. Okay. All right. Yep. That gonna work for you?
Yes.
Okay. All righty. Anything else? Looks like Prosciutto had to bug out. So, all right. Well, I'll wrap us up. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye-bye, y'all.
Good night.
Alrighty.
See you next
Good
week.
Good night. Have good
All right.
weeks.
Are we in person or virtual next week?
Virtual next week and the following week.
Okay, thank you.
After Labor Day, we'll be back in person.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Night.
Night, everyone.
Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.